time is time for another episode of the Grunge Bible Podcast, bringing it to you with episode number 81. As you might know by now, this is Chris Solona speaking, and I am joined by Ethan Shalloway. Ethan, how the hell are you?
I'm doing well, Chris. We are sitting down. It's a Friday, October 7th, and you know that we love recording on Fridays.
We do our best work on Fridays.
We do our best work on Fridays. Drew does his best work when we get it to him a day before, because he doesn't download it until Sunday anyway.
He masters us all in one shot.
He does it all on Sunday, but he does like it when we get it to him a week early, so it could sit in the inbox for a week. Shout out to our producer Drew McFadden. We do in fact love you.
Absolutely love you, Drew.
He was going to be on this episode, but he bailed.
That's the way it goes sometimes. But
it's Hollywood, man.
Yeah, it's Hollywood,
he was supposed to be here. He told us he would, and then he bailed.
It's tough sometimes, but I have to say, it feels. This is like the first time in a couple of weeks that I feel like you and I have been able to take a collective breath. The music has slowed down. We're back at home base after a hell of a week out on the West Coast together. Yeah. If you all have listened to episode number 80 about the Taylor Hawkins Tribute Concert. We've been back at our respective homes for 5 or 6 days now, and
does it feel like so long ago?
Dude, it feels like so long ago. And this week kicked my ass too.
Yeah, a lot has happened in the last 5 days. A lot of energy spent getting everything back in order here.
Yeah, spent lots of money. It was money well spent.
But I do think that if you are listening now and you haven't listened to episode 80, it was just incredible. You probably already had seen some videos of the tribute concert, but you have our live recap the day after or 2 days after.
And the pundits are saying that episode 80 was the best episode we've ever done. So
exactly, I agree.
Yeah, I would agree with you, and I would agree with the pundits that that was some of our best work.
It really was. So today we are going to be coming at you with a pretty easygoing episode. We are going to talk about the road and pretty much what transpired. And
yeah, we saw 3 shows.
Keep it light. Yeah, we saw 3 shows. We got some housekeeping, a lot of stuff coming up. So it is going to be, I don't know, I'm looking forward to it,
Yeah, it's one of those things that I think over the 81 episodes that we've done and the special one-offs that we've done, there's always a level of like, sometimes the listeners need the episode more than we do, but in this instance, we need this episode more than the listeners do. We need to just sit down and have a nice conversation and decompress a little bit, because it has been a hell of a run that we've been on lately.
3 strange days, That's what it was.
Got to make it through no matter what it takes.
So I think we'll go chronologically through our week a little bit
might
more
well.
in depth. Yeah, a little bit more in depth.
Yeah.
But before we do, let's talk patrons.
Yes,
because
and I'm a little upset.
I am too. We're on a cold streak.
Yeah, we are
officially on a cold streak. It's been over 30 days since we've had a new patron join. And that's just utterly
that's a new low
unacceptable.
for the Grunge Bible Patreon.
Yeah, we've actually had some people leave us,
which is
sucks.
fine.
I totally get it.
I've left before,
Right, you can't stay. You can't be there all the time. And that's the thing. Like, this venture is supported by the few, the proud, the patrons, and sometimes it gets heavy. And I understand, dude. They've been tasked with, a heavy burden. So we need people to come. We need new blood to come in.
And, you can't
do
play
their job.
You can't play every minute of the game. I mean, you got to sub out.
That's why there's closers.
Right, exactly. There's people. Hopefully, there's people out there that are waiting to hop in, get in the game a little bit.
And there's no better time than now.
That's really isn't.
Come on, people.
Tomorrow's not guaranteed.
If you're listening to episode 81, and you haven't ever been in the realm.
If you haven't even clicked on the link.
If you haven't even clicked on the link, see what we have to offer, which isn't much, but
that we have something for you.
You know that we have, and we have more coming. Speaking of,
Absolutely, yes. Speaking of, before we thank our top level patrons, another perk of being a top level patron. In case you don't know, in case you don't follow the Instagram feed, we have recently partnered with the Toadies to celebrate their delayed but now finally happening 25th anniversary Rubberneck tour. And in order to celebrate that, we teamed up with them and we're giving away some signed vinyl copies of Rubberneck. And this is a really, really cool opportunity. They hit us up and, they wanted to get together and do something to hype up the tour. And, we're very, very happy to do that. And if you're watching on YouTube, you can see Ethan unboxing one of these signed copies right here.
Did you notice?
Of Rubberneck. It's
First
pretty
off,
sweet.
it's red. And then the inside is like this awesome, I don't even know. It's like, it looks like the middle of a quarter.
Yeah.
It's like an Indian.
Like a woman of prestige or something.
Basically. Beautiful red vinyl. Beautiful.
Exactly. It's great. So why that matters to you sitting here listening to the podcast right now is we are giving away 2 copies on an Instagram post that we posted about a week ago by the time this episode comes out. But additionally, we have another reserve copy that rather than hold on to, we're giving it away on Patreon. And all you have to do is be an active member on Patreon by Friday, October 14th. So this episode comes out on Monday, October 10th. So you'll have the full week to join the cause and automatically be entered to win this signed copy. It's signed by the whole band. It's Rubberneck. Band. It's a hell of a record. And it's signed. Record. I mean, this is really cool. It's
beautiful red.
Yeah, it's straight from the horse's mouth, and we're happy to bring that to you. We love being able to give back and do certain things like this. So this is your path in. If you're a big Toadies fan out there, if you like visiting the Possum Kingdom, now's the time. It's a $2 lottery ticket, basically. And
I was going to say, you don't even need to join the top level.
No.
To have an equal shot at winning this
join a
awesome
level. We put everybody's name into a...
2, 5, or 10. And we're going to do the prize wheel. Exactly right, Chris. We're doing the prize wheel.
I love that prize wheel.
Maybe we'll do it... we have to wait. Honestly, maybe we could do it live. We said that last time.
We might have to special Friday injunction, but
we'll post something on the Patreon to let everybody know that they're automatically entered. But this is your shot, so please consider giving us a measly $2, $5, $10 a month. And if you're $10, you can get your name said. Which Chris.
I think it's about time to do that right now. So as the time of this recording, I have the following top-level Patreon supporters to thank for keeping this enterprise moving. And at this time, I would like to thank Faith Bittner, Chris LSMS, Sunny Mashburn, Lauren Irene, Alexis Shannon, Millie, Nikki Six, Release, Marianne, Jade Mercado, Doug Endy, Black Hole Sean, Captain Hightop, Rachel Corning, Darian Riddle, our number 1 fan from Australia, Fuck Soup, Alex Long, Jamie Lynn, What the Fuck's Up Denny's, Wayne Staley, Carlene Salona, Seattle 4 Fanboy from New Jersey, Fresh Tendonitis, Kitty Cooper, Brother Nature, The Blue Owl, Kara K, I Hate Your Mom, Shoe the Shoeless, and Eddie Vedder got me through my second divorce. So it's that simple. It's one click and your name will be spoken throughout history.
No. So I don't want to get ahead of ourselves, so we'll just start from the beginning, which is Colorado. We spent 2 days in Colorado. So, we flew out September 24th, Saturday.
24th, that is correct.
And, man, I don't want to get... I'm trying to think of what you guys want to hear because we could talk about everything. I mean, Saturday was pretty low-key. We just picked up the rental car. We went out and played disc golf, and the elevation and altitude absolutely killed us.
Totally kicked our ass.
Because we were also drinking while we were playing disc golf and taking unnecessary shots.
We were drinking too much.
We were taking unnecessary shots. And honestly, Saturday night was probably the worst night of the trip. It wasn't a bad night, but it probably was like...
Comparatively speaking, it was pretty horrendous.
Right. We had a fun time. We had the wow factor of being all together, but things really got going Sunday.
Yeah. Sunday was just really, really incredible. And, we started it off. We saw a lot of great live music that last week of September. Probably the this was the second time in my life that I'd seen 3 shows in a week, I think. And certainly it was the best 3 show run that I've gone on. And we kicked it off in Boulder, Colorado by seeing the Front Bottoms. And Ethan, I know, how many times have you seen the Front Bottoms prior to that? A couple of times, right? A few times?
Yeah, this was my 4th time seeing. I'm almost certain.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I've seen them, like I said, I think I've seen them 2 times. Well, one time at Festival Pier, another time, I think also at another venue. I can't remember which one, but then I saw them at the Fillmore and then in Nashville.
Right.
So actually 5. I think I've seen them 5. And I have tickets for them on October 18th, which is...
That's incredible. That's like 10 days away. Up. Yeah.
Which will be cool because it will be... the Joy Formidable was supposed to open up for them in Boulder, but the singer got sick, so they will be back from what I know, which I'm really excited to because I've seen that they have opened for Foo Fighters one time and they are incredible. I really wish that would have made the show like another level. I'm telling you, Chris.
Oh, totally.
But it was your first time, Chris, so let's I want a live reaction. So you recently got into this band in the last 2 years.
Thanks to you.
Thank you. And yeah, I think you had some anticipation built up for this. So what was it like for you?
Yeah, I was really excited. And I think, so I really didn't go to many shows until a couple of years ago, really until post-pandemic. And I've really been hitting it hard since then. And I think I've finally woken up that part of my brain that like really likes energetic shows and really likes being up front for energetic shows. Yeah. And I had known from speaking to you that front bottom shows usually have some good energy to them. And I really, really like this band. And there were certainly some songs that I wanted to hear just to have those experiences. And so I had anticipated this show quite a bit. And it really didn't disappoint. It's just like one of those things where you grow an attachment to a band and you finally get the chance to see them live. And that feeling that you get when they first take the stage and you're like, okay, like this is happening. And, that's repeated multiple times throughout the night where they start playing a song that you instantly recognize and you love. And like you kind of get chills a little bit. You kind of, it makes you feel some things that you don't feel every single day. And that was a really, really cool thing to be able to do, especially to be able to do it with you. Really, really awesome opportunity because, as people know by now, like we don't live near one another. We don't see one another very often throughout the year. Although 2022, we've seen each other 3 times, 3 separate trips, which is
becoming more.
It's a PR post when we went to college together. So
it's becoming more frequent.
Yeah, which is a good thing. I think that'll only continue to increase, which is great. But yeah, that front bottom show was really, really awesome. And I know you having had, like you said, a few front bottom shows to kind of compare it to. It was a little bit of a different story, obviously, with just like the way like everything was set up and what it looked like. But man, for me, like, first time, like it was fun. Like they came to play and they put on a hell of a show.
Yeah, we talked about it in the car when we were driving the next day and a few times. Like I first saw them in 2012, 2013, which is 10 years ago. So I've changed as a person a ton. Yeah. They've changed, he's 10 years older. Brian's 10 years older. And he went from his 20s to his 30s, stuff like that. Like, I mean, this is the equivalent of seeing Pearl Jam when they first, it's not the same, but it is, but
it's people like that lineage. I mean, if you look at a Pearl Jam performance from '92 and then you see them on, in 2002, and Eddie Vedder looks like
or 2022,
exactly.
Like, holy shit! Like, it's a big difference.
Can I just make this is kind of a little bit of a tangent here, but a couple days ago,
do we need to talk about Super Wolf Blood Moon or Super Blood Wolf?
No, but we do have to talk about Eddie Vedder really quickly because a couple of days ago I posted a live video of Dissident from 1993 or 1994, and somebody commented and they're like, "Wow, I can't believe how different he sounds." I was like, "Well, yeah, it was 29 years ago. Of course he's going to sound different." And somebody commented, they're like, "I just saw Eddie Vedder last month in New Jersey, and I honestly can't tell that he sounds different. I think he sounds the same." And some of these people, man, like he sounds incredibly different because he's in his 50s now. Like,
I can't tell
not
the
in his
difference.
20s anymore. But it's really funny. Like I do think like especially I think the last like 6 to 8 years, like Eddie's voice has changed quite a bit. He's getting older. We all
Yeah.
get older. You can't hold it against him. Like, oh, like the people who get so mad. They're like, oh, he doesn't sound like he does. It was like, no, nothing about anyone is the same when they're 27 versus when they're 57. You know.
Yeah.
But needless, I just had to bring that up. It was on my
Yeah.
mind when you just
No.
mentioned the Pearl Jam thing. I was
No,
like,
absolutely have to, and
but
the
it's
people
just so funny to
people
me
commenting that talking about the
yeah.
difference, like you've probably aged, 15 years since you first heard
Yeah,
Eddie, so like
changes
what
in
it's like.
5 years, let alone 30.
Yeah,
But I
you
just
know what
thought it
it's
was,
like.
yeah, I thought it was so funny that there was somebody who was like, I can't tell the difference in his voice. I was like, okay, pal. Like,
Yeah, I will say so. My overarching view of the show is, the band is different members
sure,
in a way, but
because
Brian's
it's just Brian and it's the drummer who are the two pure members of the
mainstays. Yeah.
Front Bottoms, right? They've had quite a few different guitarists and bassists,
hmm
right?
And but he still delivered the songs the way that I'd want him to. He sang with, a lot of intent, and he did the things that I would expect him to do, even as he gets older. So I was very happy. It was a great show. I loved, it was really tight because there was chambers, Chris. There was like, it was in a theater. It was in the
it was a
Boulder
wonky
Theater.
setup for
There was like,
for the GA spots.
it was kind of like it was like a show choir. Like there were stairs and steps in the middle of like
Which is
the
not
kind
something
of
that you
the
want
GA
in the
area.
middle of an energetic pit. You don't need bars partitioning people. You definitely don't need steps.
Right.
And we had a lot of that.
So, like, all things considered, the crowd did their best to get pretty high, but there wasn't a lot of room. Like, there wasn't enough. Usually, at a show where there's a pit opens up, there's space for the people that don't want to be in the pit to like move.
Right.
But like,
there was no space for anybody to move.
There was no space. So
if you were in that first chamber, you didn't have a choice. Like you were becoming part of the movement.
Yeah.
Which that upset a lot of people up front, but it's the nature of the beast. It's the nature of the beast.
Right. It was all good, and it was hot. It was a hot show in there.
Oh, that was a really, really.
But
hot
I do want to
show.
commend. I want to commend the Boulder Theater because afterwards, they had cups and a water fountain like spigot to shoot to fill up, and I just hammered like 7 cups of water because I've been yelling
me
like
too.
the whole night, and it was just great because the next show we went to, had like $8 bottled water, so it was a little bit
just
different.
Like the contrast. One tidbit that I have to share about the Boulder show, the Front Bottom show, they started playing, and maybe like 4 or 5 songs in, you made the executive decision to get into the mix a little bit, and I was right there with you. So I was like, I want in too. So I hopped in to the
yes, this is a good story.
And I was wearing my beloved Bumble hat. The dating app, the Bumble hat. I had it on backwards. It was a little loose. And when I made my play to hop in, the hat fell off my head. And when you have those moments of crisis where it's only 2 or 3 seconds, but hours of thought cycle through your head. And I was evaluating. I was like, okay, like cost benefit analysis. Do I go after this hat? And then I can't get into the mix right now. Like, where's Ethan? Like, what am I gonna do? Like, I'm probably not gonna find this hat anyway. So I was like, you know what? Fuck it. The hat had a good run. Like, I used it for a while. Like,
it's time.
It's time. Like, this is a good. This is a good.
Venice breakwater.
Right. This is a good story. Like, this is how I lost the Bumble hat. I was like, you know what? All right. So I hop into the mix. I'm having a good time. Like 3 songs later, so like probably 10 minutes later, I get a tap on my shoulder, which I didn't think anything of at the time. I just thought somebody was like incidentally, but I got a couple taps and I had a tug on my shirt. So I was like, somebody's
like, what the hell?
Yeah,
dude?
I was like, somebody's trying to get my what's happening? Like, so I turn, and this woman, probably my age, a little bit older, she's like, I have your hat. It fell off earlier. I was like, how do you have that? And how did you track me down? Like, how did this happen? So she hands me the hat, and all I was able to muster to say to her at the time was, "You saved my life. Thank you." And that was it. And I never saw them again. But
that's amazing.
Yeah, it was, sometimes people are just looking out for you, even if you don't know.
Everyone loves a good crowd,
Exactly.
You got to help people up when they're down. You know, if
Right. You
if
know,
they
you gotta
fall, you pick them up. If they
yeah,
drop their phone,
you take
you
care of
get
one
your phone
another.
out and turn on the light. Yeah, exactly.
Exactly. Someone has to tie their shoes, someone falls, someone loses their bumble hat. You know, we take care of our own down there in the pit. So that was a great show. They played really well. I'm always impressed by bands that a lot of their catalog is very, very high energy, as the front bottoms are, particularly the singing. I'm always impressed that these bands and these musicians are able to submit that type of effort, 30 times, in a short period of time if they're playing three, four,
Right.
5 nights a week. Because like it really does feel like they're playing this show and this show matters to them, which I mean, I'm not an idiot in the grand scheme of things. It's just another night you clock in to get a paycheck at this point, especially if you've been a band for 12, 13 years as the front bottoms have been. But like it really like either they're great at acting or they really do want to make it special. And because I felt like it was special that night and it was special for me. And
Yeah.
that's what it's all about. It's just like Eddie Vedder had a good quote about the Pearl Jam song Jeremy. He's like, there's just some songs you can't mail in, like people will know. And like there's a lot of front bottom songs like Brian can't mail in a lot of those songs. Like
It's true.
you would know.
It's
And
true because that's what makes the band good, the way he sings
yeah.
and the tenor behind it. So yeah, I totally agree. It's not. So he's tasked with it, and I think artists know that, the good artists know that, like, when they put on a show, even though they're playing this song for the first time, or even if they're playing this song for the millionth time, it's definitely somebody in the crowd's first time hearing it.
That was my first time that I was able to stand
Exactly.
in the pit and belt out Twin Size Mattress.
Right, right,
You
and they've
know,
been playing that for
and they
years.
played that
Exactly.
hundreds of times.
Exactly.
But
So
for me, damn it, it was the first time, and it was really special.
it's amazing.
Yeah,
So the next 40 hours, 36 hours were a whirlwind. I mean,
yeah.
a serious roller coaster. So we woke up at like 6:30 and we hit the road. We got our Dutch Bros coffee. Chris's first time having Dutch Bros. If you're from the East Coast, it's basically Dunkin' Donuts of the West Coast. So
And I fucked up my order.
Oh my gosh, this is great actually. Yeah, so Chris is an iced coffee guy. He went. He's like, so he went, and he's like, oh, iced
The cold brew.
cold brew, and he's like, what's toasted? And I was like, I have no idea. And he's like, I think I'm gonna get it toasted. So of course he ordered his toasted, and that just means hot. So somehow it was an ice cold.
How can
brew
you have a
toasted.
hot cold brew? Though?
So it was a hot
That's
coffee.
like that movie Rookie of the Year where the pitching coach was like hot ice.
And I was like, and if this doesn't give you an accurate representation of Chris, I was like, tell him you wanted ice, and you're like, nah, I'll just drink it hot.
It's about principle. It's about principle, Ethan.
I was like, just tell him. He's like, I'm gonna drink it hot.
And then,
I'm like, dude, they don't care. And then like, yeah, I'm just gonna drink it hot. I don't feel. Let's get in the car.
I enjoyed it. I finished my coffee.
You had to. You were determined. So anyway, we got on the road and we drove up to and we hit Red Rocks before we left. And
Yeah, that was important.
That was really important. We saw the sunrise in the Red Rocks amphitheater. We envisioned it and we kept saying, I don't know what it would be like to see a show here. Just a beautiful amphitheater. You could see Denver, like 40 miles, the city of Denver, the skyline, like 40 miles away. And that was
the weather was completely unmatched. There were no clouds in the sky.
It was beautiful. Yeah, it was really good. And it was great because we got to stretch out and really get ready. Because, if you roll out of bed and jump in the car and you have 8 hours to drive, that's not, you kind of need to stretch. You got to get a little walk in. So
yeah, you need to
stairs
move.
And that fresh air and that coffee was exactly what we needed to really set us up for the first leg of our drive.
Yeah, I would totally agree. That was that. I mean, from that point forward, I kind of knew that, things are going to work out for us. And we didn't hit any traffic on the way. And we executed our plan. Our plan was to drive to Zion National Park in Utah. We got there at the perfect time, right when the sun was hitting the rocks in the way that it only does out there in the West. And having never been out there before, and none of us had been to Zion National Park, it was breathtaking. Like photos don't do it justice. Verbal accounts of it don't do it justice. And we had ourselves, a really, really fucking cool afternoon exploring that area. And we camped out.
That drive was really great. That we
Yeah.
drove all through all of Colorado and Utah, and it was just the best parts of the states. I mean, I don't know. I mean, Utah has some good stuff in the north too, but damn, it was beautiful, and it was so different from each other. That was quite the drive. And then yeah, we got in at the perfect time. So we had sunrise in Red Rocks and sunset in the desert in Zion,
the Utah desert.
So we hit it perfectly driving through, and then we got there just in time to set up camp at some BLM like public land, and it was literally just the desert, and we barely got our campsite set up naturally. We had we had enough time to stop at the convenience store to pick up a 12er, and we were off. You know what I mean? Yeah. We just cracked some beers and just laid on the ground and looked up into the desert night sky at just a host of beautiful, beautiful stars.
Yeah, that was one of those, and I'm sure you've had similar experiences since you've been back. Like, I've been explaining it to people, and people are like, dude, like, how was it? Like, it looked awesome. And like, it's one of those things that like, you knew it was special when it was happening, much to, very similar to the Taylor Hawkins Tribute show. It's like, you're living these moments. You're like, wow, like this is really special. Like, I'm going to remember this fondly, and this is going to be important for a while. And like, it's only a week ago, and I'm like, man, like, how cool was it that we were able to do that? How cool was it? Like, I was just laying on the desert sand, looking up at the sky with like, two of my really, really good friends, and just talking about life, taking the world in. And
yeah,
it was
you felt so. Well, two things. One is like when you lay out in just the middle of nowhere, looking up into this, seeing the most stars you've ever seen. Like I've never felt so small.
No,
I mean, it was just so vast and so beautiful. And then also too, like I've camped. So this is your first time camping.
I was a virgin. I was a camping virgin,
which is awesome. I'm so glad. Like we were talking when we were setting up the plans. I was like, I really think we should camp out in between rather than get a hotel or something like that. It would have been easier.
You get a hotel anywhere.
We'd have drive 8 hours to get a hotel. It would have been, a lot. You get some good sleep. But I was like, dude, I have a feeling because I was gonna say I've only camped in the Northeast and
right,
and also in like Nashville or outside of Nashville and like Tennessee, and it's just been a lot of trees, and it's just different. But man, first time in the desert, first time with that. Dude, the
bar was set real high for all future camping experiences.
It was your first time camping, but it was my first time camping over there, and I was like kind of blown away. And I want to kind of harken back to when we were playing disc golf. We actually paired up with this guy that was playing around us. We're like, hey, you want to play with us? He's like, yeah. And we told him what we were doing. We said we're driving through Utah, and he's like, oh man, he's like, that's some beautiful country, some beautiful parts of the states you're going to see. He's like, a lot of people don't think there's a lot going on in the desert, but there is, there's a lot if you're looking.
And he was speaking with some gusto. He had conviction. It's kind of one of those things you run into somebody, and like, you just, by the way they're talking about things, like you gotta drop what you're doing and listen to this man.
Yeah. And he was right, dude. I mean, there's a lot in the desert. There's a lot out there. And I think that we did a really good job of not moving too fast, not getting to bed early, you know what I mean? And then when we woke up in the morning, we woke up early, obviously, and we woke up for the sunrise and was coming over the East Mountains. But then it also kind of we had some sprinkle rain. And at first I was like, it was kind of weird. I didn't really expect that. But then a rainbow popped up over the mountains, and I'm like, okay, like this is kind of incredible. I was like, what's going on here? Like, are we just gonna see like the most beautiful? I don't know. I was did. We saw it was a beautiful array of nature, and this rainbow. I mean, it was just randomly above. Like there was like a few set of clouds over. It was like clear everywhere else, but then there was this rainbow like shooting straight down over a mountain, like crest. It was just incredible. Yeah,
it was so, like, all right, so beautiful. And it's crazy too, because like we woke up in the desert the same day that we were going to the tribute show, and
right?
Like how different those environments were. Like how like eerily quiet it is out in the desert, before anybody's really woken up and before society really gets a
So
move on in the
quiet.
morning. And just like comparing, contrasting with like after the driving we did that day, we were in an arena with 17,000 people.
Oh, so we started, 12 hours before we started in Boulder, and then we were, woke up in the desert, and then we finished the day in LA.
Yeah.
And so, but I do want to bring up, dude, we went down, we took 5 minutes to get down the mountain, leaving our campsite, and we stumbled upon a coffee shop, which I'm wearing some merch right now.
Yep, I'm wearing the merch as well. The River Rock Roasting Company out of Laverne, Utah.
And we originally went through a drive-through, and Chris got his iced coffee. I got my coffee. It
toasted that time.
He didn't get it toasted. And then Connor wanted a pastry, and I was like, that's a good idea. And I was like, you want a pastry, Chris? He's like, yeah, I'll take a banana. Or what did you get?
I had a scone.
Yeah, you had a scone. And then I was like, is it quiches? And I was like, are the quiches good? She's like, oh, you got to have this corn jalapeno quiche. And I was like, sign me up. And I was like, do you have another location? And like, yeah, right down the road. You can't miss it.
You cannot miss it.
You can't miss it. So naturally, we drive a mile down the road because this is a small, canyon town. And man, this coffee shop was perched right at the top of a canyon overlook, and there was a backside, perfect view. We had our coffee. This is like totally unplanned, and maybe we should have saw it coming, but we didn't. So all of a sudden, we're blown away. I had the best quiche of my life. I'll talk about till the day I die. Just one of those things I'm gonna remember, and it was just. We were like tired but excited because we knew we were like, holy shit, dude, in 8 hours we're going to be in LA seeing the Taylor Hawkins tribute.
Yeah.
And that kind of fueled our fire for the next 5 hours to get to Vegas because we were going to get brunch in Vegas. And this is the worst part of the trip, actually.
Yeah.
And I think we documented. It was
worse than Saturday. Yeah.
Yeah. I think did we talk about it at the last podcast?
I think we did. But
we might have.
The short version of the long story is that Vegas is not for us. Fuck Vegas. And I can't imagine.
It was just too much of a contrast. Like we were in nature, like totally secluded. All of a sudden, it was like I said, that city smells like cigarette daiquiri,
artificial, and just.
So we went in there, and it was we paid $10 for parking. It was the worst $10 we spent all trip, no doubt.
It was not for us, but I'll tell you, things turned around. We made good time getting to Los Angeles, and. We went to the Taylor Hawkins show, which, as we said before, if you want to hear what that was like, go back to episode 80.
We have an hour and a half. We have an hour and a half sitting there for you.
The best episode we've ever done was about that show. And by that point, it was kind of nice because like the pinnacle and the whole purpose of that trip, we had accomplished, and we had, 4 or 5 more days in LA to kind of let that sink in and just spend time with friends. And that's what we did. And we woke up the following morning after the show, and it was our birthdays. You turned 28, I turned 26, and we had ourselves a good day. We hit up Venice Beach, we hit up Muscle Beach, got a little lift in, and went to a comedy show that night. We had a great dinner with some of our dear friends, including our producer Drew, and it was just it was a hell of a day.
It really was. Before we go too far past, I want to know, just give the listeners what is one thing about the show? Just give a remark about it that you think rings true. I can go first if you'd like.
Yeah. Let's hear what you have to say.
I just want to say that this whole trip is going to be something I remember for the rest of my life. But this show, I will remember this for the rest of my life. And I'm so glad we had the opportunity, and it was so special. It's people that who knows, we could lose, John Paul Jones. Yeah. in the next couple of weeks.
Getty Lee tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly. These guys and women that were playing, who knows? So I just know that I'm going to be talking about this. I'm going to be that guy in 20 years. And I love it. So it was what a lineup, dude. It was just, but we were there. Where were you on that day? I was there.
Yeah. It's so funny. And we talked about this, when we met up with him that week, but, whenever we post an album anniversary or whatever, Chris Cafaro, our good friend and, very, very, very talented photographer and all around great human being. He always comments because he always gives us shit for the fact that we're young and we weren't alive to experience it firsthand. So like we'll post like on this day in 1991, Nevermind came out. And he always comments, he's like, "Where were you that day?" And you know what? For the Taylor Hawkins Tribute Concert in Los Angeles, I know the answer to that question. We were there, man. We were right there. So
amen to that.
I think that's the one thing that rings true for me is just like the fact that I was able to be there and really take it in, and just like how impressive every single minute of those 6 hours were, because
everything
how
was
selfless all of those musicians were, and how powerful all of those moments felt. Everybody who came on that stage for 5-10 minutes, however long they were out there, like, that was their moment to contribute to that environment and contribute to those emotions. And it just like, they fill up your cup 10 times over, in the time that they're out there.
Yeah. So yeah, the next morning, the next day was great. And I do want to take this time to shout out our lovely, lovely host. A good friend, Adam Pellicati, housed us for the next 4 days. He was on the podcast last week, and dude, it was so special having a local there, having somebody, and just kind of like, just some parody. Like if it would have been me, you, and Connor at a hotel, if we would have had to do something like that, but having that one more person that joined us for the second leg of the tour, our tour,
it was so special.
It was, dude. And like, I just want to say, Adam, thank you so much for having us. It was, dude, never a dull moment. We were on a heater.
We were ripping it the whole week.
We were on a heater, dude. We did not miss. And it was special. It was special to be like, to be, kind of couch surfing and doing like, we were just doing it. We were living life, and it was wild. It was awesome.
it was really fantastic. Yeah. And that Wednesday was really, really good. Like I said, we got a good dinner with some friends.
The dinner was awesome. So much fun.
Really, really fantastic group of people that we got together. And then we saw, amongst some others, Chris D'Elia, the comedy show that night, which was
Trevor Wallace opened
Trevor
up.
Wallace was there.
Such a surprise.
Yeah, that was a good night. And then Thursday was a cool day because, as we alluded to last week, and as I just alluded to earlier, we did get the face-to-face hang with Chris Cafaro, which was really, really awesome. Love that man. He's, it
like, kind of felt like I had met him before.
Oh, absolutely. Because
you know what I mean? I walked in there and it was like
4 years at this point. We've spoken to him spoken with him for countless hours on the phone or on Zoom or Skype, whatever. It was just really cool. And I'm really impressed by Chris's capacity just to be open to and to help people that he doesn't have to help, and like be kind to people that he doesn't have to be kind to. Like we went there and like we brought our friends Adam and Connor along with, and he's just so welcoming of everybody, and he won't hesitate to help people even before he knows whether or not they're able to do something for him. I think most of the time when people offer their help to somebody or their assistance, it's transactional, because like, I'll do this for you, what can you do for me? But with Chris, the answer is always like, yes, I'll help you, like whatever I can do to give you a hand and help you out with whatever you need to do, like I will do that, regardless of whether you're in a position to do something for me. And I think that's like a really good lesson that I think everybody can apply. Like if we all thought that way and chose to help people and be kind to people before we know what they can do for us in return, I think everybody would be better off. And Chris is certainly in this space one of the brightest beacons for that, and he's been I don't even know how to describe how helpful he's been for us. So really, really thankful for that. So it was really cool to meet him. It was really fucking cool.
He's been our sage over the years.
Yeah, he's been our light giver. Exactly.
Yeah, and then the following day on Friday, we were able to go to his exhibit, his Jane's
Mr.
Addiction
Music Head Gallery.
Mr. Music Head, and that was really awesome to see his work on display on the wall.
Yeah.
They had the formal, I guess, exhibition the weekend before.
Right, the opening weekend.
Yeah, so it was still up for a few more days. So I'm glad that we made time to shoot over there.
Yeah.
Because it was, it's no easy drive anywhere in LA. So
Yeah.
it took a little bit out of the day, but it was so needed. And it was really cool.
Yeah, and I'll tell you, with Chris's work and with the photos that he's been able to create,
You got to see it in person.
Yeah, no, it's the same thing as you find a band on Spotify and you like them, and to take that up a notch and to take your relationship with that art up a notch, you got to see the band live, right? It gives you, and I felt that same way when we walked into that gallery, and just to see all of his art presented.
It's a great way to put it. Yeah.
In person on walls in front of, however many hundreds of people walk through that gallery the 2 weeks that it was up. It gives you a whole other appreciation as opposed to if you're just looking at it through a screen on Instagram. And that was a really cool thing. We were able to catch it the day before that it closed. And I'm really happy that we were able to make that happen. And yeah, it's like the same thing as what we were joking about with like seeing Zion National Park. Like, it's going to be special, but when you see it, you're still kind of blown away, and you're impressed at a level that you should have known that you would be impressed by it at that level, but it still feels weird. Like, wow, like this is.
I think that's the theme of this whole trip. And
So
it's so true. It's like, why would I go? I can watch the video when it comes out. It's like, why would I go see it? I can take a screenshot and have it forever. Well, it's not the same.
It's just, it's the whole thing. I mean, you have to see these things in the flesh, and you have to be present. And yeah, I think that's the theme of that trip, and just like all of like the powerful emotions that we felt throughout that trip, is like the big takeaway for me. And I'm kind of still recovering from it. Like my social battery has been depleted. I think my sensory battery has been a little depleted because of all of those unbelievably positive and important experiences that we were able to have together. And that was certainly one of them, being able to meet him. And then the next day go and see, some of his greatest work, on display for everybody.
His lifetime's work.
Yeah. Fucking Jane's Addiction, man. I mean, it's great stuff. That was really cool. And Friday, that was kind of like the kickoff, the opening kickoff to a great day that we had, because we did a little bit of traveling that day as well, up to Santa Barbara.
Well, we hit Santa Monica first for coffee.
Right.
Checked out the pier. It was beautiful. Shot over to East Hollywood or West Hollywood. It was West Hollywood.
Wherever the hell that is.
Wherever the hell. And then we shot north past Ventura to Santa Barbara, where we didn't eat. No, we had Super Rica. We had this awesome recommendation from Chris. Rica. Just super authentic Mexican food. Went out to the pier, hung out there, and then we went back down to Ventura, where we saw just how do I want to say? It was one of those concerts where you go for the opener. And
I think this was the first time, if I'm remembering correctly, that I went explicitly to watch the opening act.
Yeah, and our man Petey was out there, and he opened up for Manchester Orchestra at what was the place called?
I forget, the Majestic Ventura Theater or something.
Yeah, which Pearl Jam. Chris said he saw
Pearl
Jam
there in early in '92, I think.
And he said it was a great place to see a show. And it was really similar to Boulder, actually. They had a balcony and they had a lower half, and it was kind of theater. They both had drinks inside the... I love when you don't have to leave the music area to get drinks. That's kind of cool. And yeah, anyway. So PD opened up, and dude, he killed it. He only played like 8 songs because he was feeling a little under the weather, but man, that was so good. That was like... I don't know, man. That takes me back to like the first time I saw Front Bombs when I was young, like seeing bands for that were just getting going. Like I felt like it's the start.
You're in at the start, and it was so cool too because like
it wasn't I need to see him before they stop playing. It was like, dude, we need to see him before he gets big.
Exactly, and we were there, and just like how cool of an experience it is. Like I was saying with the Front Bottoms, would even ratchet it up a notch for me personally because I don't think I've listened to any album more in the last 12 months than I have Petey's Lean Into Life album, the debut album, and even the B-side album, other stuff. And we got a good mix of songs from both of them. And it's just one of those things that like I know his catalog so well that like, you know, when the first chords ring out to any song, I was standing next to you, I was like, holy shit, like here's Pitch a Fit, or like here's Microwave Dinner. Like you know, these are all songs that we've spoken about on this podcast, and we've certainly I was just with a friend earlier tonight who's a big Petey fan, who I'm going to see Petey in Boston in next month. And it was just like one of those things. I was like, you know, Petey has been the artist for the last year that like, if I can tell one of my friends about one artist, I've been telling them about Petey.
Yeah.
So just to see him live and to see those songs live was really, really, really fucking cool. And like it's funny because I feel like everything that I've described so far on this show throughout this experience, like I've just been defaulting to being like, it was really fucking cool, it was really fucking important, but like it was, and it is, and that was, I mean, God, that was awesome.
Yeah, 100%. And the listeners, like, okay, so you guys hear us talking, and you're probably just, you know, just have us in your ears, or you're on your way to work. But take a moment and think about the first time that you saw the band that you've been waiting to see for so long. Yeah. And think about the joy when you hear those songs. And like, I mean, that's like, you know, that's stuff you can't buy. That's the type of excitement that you can't, you know, the built up excitement over years. You know, this one's just been like 2 years, but like when something builds up and then you finally, when it lives up to the moment, that type of experience is what you live for. You know what I mean? Like that's what it's all about.
Stuff. That's what music's all about. That's what friendship is all about. That's what, you know, doing things is all about. It's creating joy. And that's always my favorite thing that we're able to do through the page, through the podcast or whatever. And those messages will always make me smile and make me feel really happy when people will message us and be like, hey, like I heard about this band through you and I love them and I'm seeing them, or, you know, I heard this song by them because of you and it really, really, you know, gave something to me. And anytime you can experience that firsthand is, you know, not something you should ever pass up. And I'm glad that we took that drive up there, because that was...
Oh, yeah. It was kind of... I mean, it wasn't... We were, like, obviously talking about it for weeks leading up to it because we knew he was there. But we didn't buy the tickets till that morning.
Yeah, till that morning.
It could have sold out. It could have this. It could have... We were tired. We had been, like...
Exhausted.
We had been bending, like, 8 days, you know? So... but we did it because we knew we had to. And holy shit, dude. That might have been that really like, and then of course we came home and we tied one on until the sun came up, and it was beautiful. We were watching Barry Bonds highlights from his rookie year.
Watching Badlands chugs.
Yeah, Yammer Yager. Whatever. Man.
That was like that. That's just like the cool thing about it, and about this trip as a whole is like we had like I'd say 4 or 5 very significant experiences, but some of the stuff you remember is always like that, like the minutia in between. It's like what the front bottom says, the stuff in between that you still remember and it's still significant. It's like, okay,
like the drive home after the concert, or I mean, honestly, like, you know, lifting at Muscle Beach is like nothing special. It's just a beach outside. But the fact that you and me were doing it together, like, and we had our history, like there was something cool about that.
Yeah, and it's just like it's always those little things in those moments that, like, you don't think are gonna have staying power in your mind. And even like I hadn't seen Adam in 6 years, and we were at Venice Beach on Wednesday, and like you and Connor were like down by the water, and I was just like hanging out with Adam and like had a really cool conversation just about life and shit. And it's just like this stuff. A lot of times, the stuff you don't think you're gonna remember that you end up remembering a lot. And this trip was like. It was like a year's worth of significant moments, you know, packed into 1 week.
Oh man, I'm so glad that we decided to buy decided to get lucky enough to buy these tickets and then decide to make it a trip out of it, because we could have did something crazy like leave the next day, or, you know, we could have flown out that day.
We did it the right way.
We did it the best way that we knew how to. And so if you're out there and you're still listening, well, 2 things. One, thanks for letting us talk about this, because this is one of the moments in life that, you know, you want to talk about. And it may, if you're listening, you may not You may not think of it the same way as we are right now, but it was really important. So it's fun to kind of look back and talk it out. And two, we're having multiple technical difficulties, so this episode is getting cut in and out.
Yeah,
and it's so good. Like, dude, if we were talking about like Tool right now or doing an album review and this shit was happening, that would put me over the edge.
It's one of those,
you know what
things,
I mean? Thank God that we're doing what we're doing on a Friday night, or it would kill me.
Yep, it's one of those things that, like, I'm not even exaggerating here. Like, if that were to have happened and we were slogging through an album review, I think that would be the end of the podcast.
Oh yeah, we would have. I thought about that. I was like, if the Zoom audio didn't just save there, we would have did a different episode. I'm not redoing that. You know what I mean?
You can't redo
that.
Like that.
You know?
Yeah, and
we would have picked a new topic and mailed it in. But luckily, we don't have to do that.
Yeah, we don't have to do that. Technology has saved our butts once again, and it's funny because our producer does such a good job. This is not the first time this has happened. Where we've been recording an episode and the internet gives out, or some bullshit happens, and but we slog on and we keep it going because we don't miss. But this was definitely an episode that, as I said at the beginning, like a lot of episodes we do for the listeners. This one, Ethan, we kind of did this for us, and I'm happy that we have this space that we can. We earned. I mean, 81 episodes. We probably had like 4 or 5 all told that were for us. So. We deserve this.
It's funny because we're tired. It's 11 o'clock my time, 12 o'clock your time.
Yeah, we said we were
gonna do a half-hour episode, and here we are.
Here we are, like an hour deep. Yeah.
So the last thing I want to say about the trip, I want to ask you is, if we're doing revisionist history, and we can go back and we can change something, we could do something differently. What would you change? What would you do differently, and what part? And if any, it doesn't need to, it could be, you don't need to.
I would have made the trip longer.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, man. Like once you get out there, spending time, having good times, you don't want it to end. Honestly, it's that I don't really know that I have a legitimate answer for what I would change. Like, because everything went according to plan, which is ridiculous because that never happens. Clearly. I mean, we can't even get an hour of things going according to plan recording this stupid podcast. So the fact that we pretty much had a week of unabated success was really, really special. So I don't know. I don't know what I would have done differently. Maybe if we could have snuck down into the pit for the Taylor Hawkins show.
Yeah, I was thinking that it was special. It was kind of special up top as well, obviously. Yeah. Man, I don't know what it would have been like having to stand for 6 hours.
Yeah, I don't, especially after the day that we had. You know what? Maybe that wouldn't have been for the best.
Yeah, maybe easy. The easy answer would be skip Vegas completely. And just honestly, drive right through that.
But you know what? We recognize it in the moment when we cut our losses and we're like, you know what? This is not the place for us. Let's keep rolling. And it's a good thing we didn't spend much longer there because we really didn't have much time to get ready for the Taylor Hawkins show. And that would have sucked if we were late for that.
Yeah, that would have been, it just wouldn't have been professional of us.
Yeah, it would not have been professional because we're not just there for
could you imagine flying to Colorado and driving
across the country,
going literally across the country, planes, trains, and automobiles, to missing
the reason why you're out there.
Yeah, Violet singing Hallelujah and Dave Grohl giving the opening speech.
Yeah, well, and that's the thing. Anytime I do something that's like grunge adjacent or of the general interest to the people that follow the page or listen to the podcast, like. We're representing everybody. People, they ask you, like, who are you representing? Like, who's funding this? Like, this is who we're representing. So I feel that weight. I was like, I have to be here, like, for those who can't. And, I want to do my best to be there and be present so I can talk about it and share it with people. Because I think with an event like that, a lot of people are looking for ways that they can connect with it if they weren't able to go, whether it's buying a t-shirt, whether it's watching the live stream, whether it's following along as it happens. So if we can play even a small part in that process for somebody, exponentially increases the weight of it, and it makes me feel even better that I was able to go.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, I think the last thing I want to say, and I actually have 3 things I want to ask you, or 3 things I want to bring up.
Yeah.
But before, about the whole trip in general, in the words of Petey, spent a lot of money, but it was money well spent. I mean, I wouldn't take it back for the world. I wouldn't take it back for the world.
This is why I work. This is why I
make money to spend it. Yep.
Yeah.
And we did just that.
Yeah,
but we made a lot. It was money well spent.
Yeah.
So before we go, there's a few things I want to bring up. One, I just sort of. So the other day you posted Jerry Cantrell and Nickelback, and I just want to bring up, because I was obviously we were kind of scrolling through the comments, and you did as well, and no one has a bad thing to say about it.
No,
Everybody
exactly.
loves it, dude. So can we just stop pretending that Nickelback is a bad band? They crush covers, and Jerry Cantrell, obviously, if Jerry is going to play with him,
if he respects him enough to get on that stage, then we all ought to respect
it. Ain't
him.
like that, you know what I mean?
Right, it ain't like that anymore. You're right.
It ain't really, like that.
Sometimes it is, but in this case, it just ain't. It ain't like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up. That's important. We need justice for Chad.
It is, and I just, I know there's a concert tomorrow night that is, dude. Sometimes I totally understand, and like, I know you just said that we're representing the people, and you, because you told me this, you're like, dude, tomorrow night Alice in Chains is playing with Bush and Breaking Benjamin, and you're like, should I go? And I was like, dude, honestly, no. I was like, dude. I was like, you can't
at any
go,
other
dude.
point in my life, I would be there in a heartbeat.
Yes,
but
it just fell on black days. You know what I mean?
I saw Jerry Cantrell in April. I was right in front of him. I was 6 feet away from the guy. It was incredible.
Held his hand. Played his guitar.
Yeah, it was one. I have a pick. I have a Jerry Cantrell pick that he used. Like shit. So like I had that experience already. I don't know if I can like physically, mentally afford to go to like another 4 or 5 hour concert event tomorrow night, which is Saturday, October 9th. It's the last show of the tour too. I feel like I was thinking about it today. Like I was texting a couple of my different friends trying to get some opinions. Like, should I go? Like, should I just go for Alice? Like, should I?
By yourself is tough too.
So like there's a lot of accountability involved with this whole thing, but I just don't think I have it in me tomorrow. But I'm making that decision, with all of the knowledge that I need, and I just sometimes you need a weekend and you need a night just to go into hiding and just take it easy. So. I look forward to seeing everybody's videos of Wood tomorrow night. But I don't think I'll be taking one myself. And who knows? Like when I was talking to my friends, I was like, oh, like what should I do? Then I decided I was like, fuck it, like that's a tomorrow problem. So on the day of the show, I could still go.
You could still go.
It's only 20 minutes away, 30 minutes away. So we'll see if I end up going. But that's life.
So last thing that I wanted to bring up, because obviously we don't have it. Maybe we don't have it for tomorrow, but and we're gonna scratch songs of the week because we're cutting in and out, and this is the final song.
Yeah.
The Dead and Company are going on their final
tour.
And you said this to me. They had announced that they were going to be doing this final tour, and I'm not gonna lie, Chris. I feel obligated. I feel so inclined. I need to go and see. I need to see this band, and I'm committed. I'm committed to be at this show. I texted you that, but now I'm telling you verbally, like I'm gonna go see one of these shows. They're coming through. They have a few shows in PA, one in Boston. You know what they say? Never miss a Sunday show.
Never miss a Sunday show.
It's in Fenway Park in like June 25th or something. There's one in Atlanta in May. I have a few options. I texted another friend, Nick, and I'm gonna be there, dude. I need to.
I think we should go. That should be 2023's trip for us.
Think so?
I think it
one
has
in
to
Boston,
be.
or
Let's do both. Let's follow them. Yeah, I think this might have to be the 2023 version of the LA trip. I think we're gonna have to follow Dead and Company.
I mean, I think we still make it out to LA next year, but I totally agree, dude. We could do the string of shows from Chicago to PA or whatever.
Yeah, man.
But I'm in. I think that it's important that we go, and I don't know why, but I just think that we want to be there.
Hey,
so
when you get the feeling, you have to
again,
seize it. You gotta listen.
It'll be one of those things where we want to be there. So.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, we've had a lot of technical difficulties. It's getting late. I think it's time to shove off. I think it's time to shove off here.
I think we got to get out of here.
I have no idea I don't know what Drew's going to do. So I'm going to take this time to thank him.
Yeah, thank you, Drew.
Thank you, Drew, for making us sound great. If you're out there listening right now, thank you for listening. And please have an awesome week. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. We don't miss even when the universe tries to force us to miss, and it
makes sense.
Yeah,
we were on a good run, and now we got some.
Yeah, now we're paying for it.
We got some traps set up. So
yeah, absolutely. So to everyone out there, wherever you might be, I hope you're doing well, and we will talk to you next week for episode 82. We've got some good things coming down the pipe the next couple of months. We're planning the interview slate. And I think we're going to have some good people on this show.
Yep. And remember, if you want to win a free Rubberneck vinyl signed by the band, become a patron.
Become a patron. That's all you got to do.
Support your local grunge Bible.
Right
That's
on.
it. Rock and roll, guys. See you later.
Cheers.